Good evening, this is William, and welcome to the latest edition of I Was a Teenage Daydreamer, where I discuss mostly music, some literature, some film, and some random things that I enjoy, and hopefully you do as well. Tonight is a ranking video, and it's one that I've been working on for a while. Even though there are only 9 albums, this is an artist that I have not listened to, sadly, in quite a while, and I wanted to refresh my ears. Even though this is one of my favorite bands, and at one time I listened to them a lot, and they influenced my songwriting. So when it comes to songwriting and songwriting teams, of course, we all know about Lennon-McCartney, and we all know about Jagger-Richards, and most of us know about Morrissey-Marr. But how many of us know about McLennan and Forster? And of course, that's Grant McLennan and Robert Forster from the Brisbane, Australia band The Go-Betweens, who got their start in the late 70s, started putting out albums in the 80s, broke up by the end of that decade, and then got back together in the 2000s until the untimely death of Grant McLennan at the age of 48 in 2006. So this is one of many Australian bands that were extremely critically acclaimed and yet had very minimal success. Another would be the Triffids, and another would be the Church, even though they did have a hit with Under the Milky Way in 1988. So anyway, I digress. So the Go-Betweens themselves, a band that developed a lot as they progressed, started off as a 3-piece in their initial run and ended as a 5-piece, started off with very angular art pop, almost kind of folky pop in the beginning, and then ended with very lush singer-songwriter, for lack of a better term, type songs. Both McLennan and Forster wrote and sang their own songs, but they also collaborated together. How much each did with each other's songs, I really don't know. And each album had an equal amount of them singing, if it was 10 songs, 5 songs each, etc. Except for maybe the first one. I'm not 100% sure on that one. And then also in the initial run, they had a drummer named Lindy Morrison, who was fantastic. She was great, especially in those early days, because she did really wild, crazy fills and beats that wouldn't have worked anywhere else, but were perfect for those songs, and then adapted well as they evened things out and became more of a straightforward jangle pop band, if you will. So anyway, I'm going to rank my albums from least favorite to favorite and say a little bit about them. And I will say about both McLennan and Forster, both of them very intelligent writers, very literate writers, very realistic writers, sentimental, romantic, and yet even though they have both share those similarities, they're also very different in their approach. Now, barring the first couple of albums, as they begin to head in a more pop direction, McLennan sort of rounded things out with more strumming chords type things, and Forster retained his more angular art stance and approach. Both of them are confessional. Forster's a little bit more raw, and McLennan might be a little bit more metaphoric and poetic. So at times Forster sounded confessional. Oh, they both did, honestly. It's amazing how similar they were and yet completely different at the same time, and work so well together. And then in the 2000s, when they got back together with essentially a different lineup backing them up, everything else kind of rounded off a bit, except for maybe even Forster became more straightforward singer-songwriter, strum, sing-along, except for a few songs maybe on that first reunion album. Anyway, I digress. So, my first pick, bottom of the list, is an album that still have not really latched on to, and even Robert Forster in their Best of Bella Vista Terrace said you've got to hear at least 3 other albums before you tackle Send Me a Lullaby from 1981. It is angular folk rock, and I get what they're doing, but it's not always appealing to me. I have to say that this time listening to it, I appreciated it a lot more, but it still didn't really hit me. So again, they're a 3-piece at this point, and Grant McLennan and his own bass, and he plays a very wicked lead bass. And of the songs, and it's kind of hard to see on this one, but Your Turn, My Turn, there's a video for it. I don't know that it was officially a single. I think it was, actually. And that's probably the most straightforward one. And really, what I really like about this album the most is the song titles are great. 8 Pictures, Arrow in a Bow, The Girls Have Moved On. Anyway, I really like the titles a lot. And this is a 2000s reissue with a second disc that has a bunch of early stuff on it. I actually like the second disc more than I do the proper album. So if I had to rank this, this would be I hate to say this, a 2.5 out of 5 for me. But better stuff yet to come, at least in my opinion. Every other album is, I think, very solid for me. So the next one is their last one, Oceans Apart from 2005. And they are looking very stately. And, that's another thing I could say about them, especially Robert Forster, very, very stately in delivery and approach. Something about Grant McLennan as they progressed and started moving more pop, he always had 1 or 2 songs per album that just really hit me in my heartstrings. Even though I prefer Forster a little bit overall, and I followed his solo career much more so than I did Grant. So this last one, they actually finally started getting some true notoriety, true popularity, true respect. And when I say that in a financial way, they'd always had the critics' hearts. And then, of course, McLennan passed away, and who knows what could have happened. But they were really tearing it up. And I put this a second to last. That just says how great everything before it was, in my opinion. So the McLennan heart-wrencher for me is Finding You, track 2. But another great one from him is Boundary Rider. Darlinghurst Nights by Forster tears things up. It's really great. And also the last 2, This Night's for You, McLennan, is really nice. And The Mountains Near Del Rey is also a nice closer. They always had really nice closers with most of their albums. Some of my this is a slick album. Not that they didn't have slick ones before, but of the reunion albums, this is the one where the band is tighter. They've got Glenn Thompson on drums, Adele Pickvance on bass, and she also sings backing vocals. And they've really gelled on this one. But there's also just some modern flourishes, like beats going on in the back, and then the drums play over them that I don't really care for. I like it more when they're like just in the room together and doing their thing. So that's my 8th pick. Number 7 is the album just before it, from 2003, Bright Orange, Bright Yellow. The heart-wrencher from McLennan on this one is Old Mexico. But there's some really great stuff on here as well. McLennan's Poison in the Walls, and then Mrs. Morgan, which has got to be a shout-out to the song from Jack Frost, which is a side project that he did with Steve Kilbey from the Church, called Trapeze Boy, and it mentions Mrs. Morgan. Some really nice mellow moments here. In Her Diary, it's very confessional in a lot of ways. Crooked Lines, very nice. Make Her Day from Forrester, just a really sweet song. And then Unfinished Business is a really nice closer as well. So this one also, I can't remember how I got this, but it came with 4 additional tracks. I think this was part of a bonus disc when I bought them together, because it's not like people in Nashville in 2003 were burning up borders trying to get their hands on the latest Go-Betweens album. So my next, at number 6, is their 6th album, 16 Lovers Lane. And this is where the pop direction they were headed in came to fruition. This is a slick, glossy, dreamy, shimmering album with a lot of really good songs on it. Love Goes On is great. Love Is a Sign from Forrester is great. Devil's Eye is nice. Streets of Your Town is a classic. Clouds, which is co-sung, is Forrester singing with Amanda Brown, who at this point, they're a 5-piece at this point. Amanda Brown on oboe and keyboards and vocals and violin. She was a very nice touch when that happened. Was There Anything I Could Do, which is the very first song by the Go-Betweens I ever heard, because it was the first song on This is what I picked up when I was reading about these guys. I was like, okay, I'm going to get this and see what they're about. And then Die For Your Memory, a fantastic closer from Forrester. My problem with this album is some of the songs don't always do it for me, and the production is a little slick. But, you know, songs like Streets of Your Town are just amazing, and it's got a wonderful guitar solo in it as well. Very beautiful. So my number 5 is their 4th album, Liberty Bell and the Black Diamond Express from 1986, which I honestly thought this one was going to be in the top 1 or 2. And listening to it, it just didn't hit me as hard. Spring Rain, Robert Forster, is a killer opener. It is fantastic. That opening lick, and there they go. Fantastic. McLennan follows that with The Ghost in the Black Hat, which has got a cool little accordion thing, thing going on. Wrong Road, McLennan again, is a big fan favorite. It's never really grabbed me. Twin Layers of Lightning is nice, and The Core of a Flame is nice. Head Full of Steam, another Forrester one, has Tracy Thorn from Everything But the Girl singing along with him. They're just a 4-piece, as you can see at this point. Second album is a 4-piece, and Grant has moved to guitar, and they had a guy whose name I just forgot, Vickers was his last name, on bass, and he was with them for 3 albums. And then Bow Down's nice, An Apology Accepted, great Grant song. Closing out this album. This is from a Beggar's Banquet reissue in 96, as is this one. I hate this cover, by the way. Terrible. All right. Number 4 is their first reunion album, The Friends of Rachel Worth. And I actually remember I was home from Nashville visiting my parents and reading an article in something or other talking about the big deal that this was. And I didn't get it at the time, but I've picked it up since. And this has, I believe, Adele Pickvance playing bass, and one of the ladies from Sleater Kinney, I can't remember, and some other folks. This album is raw, and it is just a really good set of songs. Going Blind is a fantastic song. The Clock is a fantastic song. Both of those are McLennan songs. When She Talked About Angels, Forrester song, which I believe is written about Patti Smith. And it closes things out. Surfing Magazines, German Farmhouse, both of those. are Forrester songs that retain some of that angular feel from the early days, but they pull together. Sometimes some of their songs start off and you're like, what are they doing here? And Echo and the Bunnymen's early albums were like this as well, where the parts didn't really make sense on their own, but somehow they all fit together and worked well. So this is a great, great album. Not sure what label it's on. Their last three albums, when they got back together, were all on different labels. And, this is an example, as well as the other two albums from the reunion years, that aren't on any kind of streaming platform that I'm aware of. So it's really great to have these, because I don't know if they're in print. I don't know if you can find them. Anyway. Number 3 is the 5th album. Their first album is a 5-piece with Amanda Brown on, again, vocals and oboe and violin. And I thought this one would be lower. And one reason is because they kind of went a little bit electronic with some of this, with some drum machine stuff, and which is ridiculous because Lindy Morrison was such a fantastic drummer. But when I was listening to it, I was like, man, some of these songs are just fantastic. And really, it's the second half of the album that's great. It starts off with Right Here, which is a really great song, but got that drum machine kind of stiff feeling to it. Then You Tell Me is pretty okay. Someone Else's Wife is a nice song. I Just Get Called Out. It's a nice ba-ba type song. Cut It Out is lousy, and it was a single, and it is very dated 80s, and I don't care for it. But then you get over to side 2, and the house that Jack Kerouac built. It's a Robert Forster song. What a menacing, scary song that is, very tense. And then McLennan's Bye Bye Pride, which is, again, the heartfelt moment, uplifting chorus, building, so great. And then McLennan, or rather Forster, takes things over for 2 songs, Spirit of the Vampire. Oh, man, another just creepy one. And the Clark Sisters, when you think Spirit of a Vampire isn't wild enough, the Clark Sisters and Amanda Brown's violin all over the place is really great. And then closes things off with an amazing Hope Then Strife from McLennan. Again, this is a Beggar's Banquet reissue. So down to the top 2. And I knew this one would be a top contender. I didn't know if it would be number 2, but this is their 3rd album, their first one as a 4-piece with Robert Vickers. Oh, geez. Starts off with the excellent Grant song, Bachelor Kisses. Does have that drum machine on it. I don't like it. But then it goes into 5 words. The old way out is now the new way in. They're definitely moving more pop, especially with Bachelor Kisses, which was recorded separately from the rest of the album. But they still have that angular feel all the way around from the earlier days. Part Company, a great Robert Forster breakup song. Slow Music, pretty okay Grant song. Draining the Pool, another wild, weird Forster song. River of Money, kind of a spoken word. I don't care for it. Unkind and Unwise is nice pop. And Man O' Sand to Girl O' Sea. Robert Forster again, ending things off. Usually they ended things off with kind of a more downbeat one, but this is a top-notch rocker with a cool, blistering guitar solo. This is also one from Circus Records, came out in 2000 or whatever, has a bonus disc. They were really great about bonus discs. Even Oceans Apart, their last album, had a bonus disc of a live set. Some really nice B-sides on here. The Emperor's Courtesan, Rare Breed, Newton Told Me, Secondhand Furniture, which is on this as well, along with the original version of 5 words, different lyrics. I love this Peel session. Really great stuff. So that's my number 2 pick, Spring Hill Fair from 1983, I believe. I've got my cheat sheet here. Yes, 83. And that means my favorite is the second album, which is Before Hollywood from 1983. Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, this is 1984. 1983. And this is also a Circus reissue with the bonus disc and everything. And this still is a 3-piece. Grant is still on bass. But even though it retains a lot of that weird, angular, folky vibe from the first album, there's been 2 years, to develop this. And it's like they've really figured out how to make that work. And these early albums really sound good. Even Send Me a Lullaby, when I was listening to it in the car and I had it turned up, those toms are perfectly mic'd and the bass is solid and just bouncing all over the place. So I think this one is number one because I remember buying it and going back to the haunted duplex that I lived in. And just hearing the first song, A Bad Debt Follows You, and I was like, whoa, this is something totally, totally different. Two-Step Step Out, Before Hollywood, Dusty in Here. It's a really nice Grant song about his father passing away when he was a kid, which is telling because he passed away and had a young son as well. This album also has Cattle and Cane, a Grant song that was considered, I think, the greatest Australian song of all time at one point. I believe Under the Milky Way has gotten that distinction as well. It's amazing. It's a beautiful song. It's worth this album, buying this album, just for Cattle and Cane. What a fantastic song. By Chance, great song, as long as that, kind of a nice, everyone sing-along type song. On My Block is a whimsical, wild Robert Forster song. And then it ends with the sublimely pop That Way. And it's like they closed this album out and said, we are headed that way. We're headed in a pop direction, in a more listener-friendly, radio-ready direction. That Way is one of the most infectious songs you'll ever want to hear. And then the second disc is also great. Hammer the Hammer, Heaven Says, Just a King in Mirrors, an early version of Man O' Sand to Girl of Sea. Great, 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 great album. All of them are great. Honestly, those last 8 albums that I discussed, they're all 4 to 5 stars. It's just the first one that I'm still stupid and I haven't picked up on it yet. And as far as additional stuff, again, Bella Vista Terrace, which is a best of their original run, also has a nice bonus disc of some live on the air stuff, an acoustic set, I believe, and an electric set. The Peel Sessions, definitely worth tracking down. And then the Lost album, when they had a drummer before Lindy Morrison, and these were recorded in the 70s, early singles, Lee Remick and Karen. Those 2 songs are great. And these are all written by, for the most part, Robert Forster. At the time, he was the songwriter and the lead vocalist. And Grant just played bass and did backing vocals. Help or Something is a lot of fun. And then, people say, and Rare Victory were written, co-written with Grant as well. So, but this is a fun one to track down as well. So, anyway, that's the Go-Betweens, one of my favorite bands. I very much loved listening to all these albums again, and I'm very glad they're out of storage because, again, those last 3 you can't find anywhere, and for a long time you couldn't get the first 3 on a streaming platform either. So again, hold on to your solid physical copies if music is important to you. And man, I rambled for 24 minutes now. If you've stuck around this long, thank you, thank you, thank you. Leave a comment of albums that you like by them, and click like and subscribe if you want, but most importantly, keep doing what you love. Thanks.